Y'all, so today is Money Mondays and it's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. I'm Black and I'm proud, okay? But today it got me to thinking, what are some financial principles that I wish that I knew as a Black person, right? So as we know, resources in our communities are often limited, and so is information. And that's what I really want to focus on today. But before I get started, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. The first thing I want to talk about is how to budget. So that is something that I wish that I just would have learned more of in my community and just my environment in general. I didn't really see a lot of budgeting, and I'm talking about the budgeting that I do now, right? So utilizing a spreadsheet, writing something down, making sure that every dollar has a name. That's something that I know if I would have had that principle, or that if I just would have learned more about it, if I would have seen someone do it, it would have put me in a better financial place. Just with those foundation principles, once I started making my own money, I know for me personally, this is how I used to budget. The budget was in my head. That was the first wrong step. And then the second step was that I would spend it all. So I really wouldn't, kind of save, of course, like I knew, yeah, you're supposed to save your money, but there is a science to that. How much are you saving? Why are you saving? Where are you putting your savings? Those are all things that I know for me personally, and that I sometimes see in our communities, that, sometimes our resources are so limited, we're strapped for certain things, and we're in that paycheck to paycheck mindset. I talked about that in my last Money Monday video as well. That's something that I really had to break within myself, to not live paycheck to paycheck. And to live below my means, and you do that through budgeting. So that is a financial principle that I really just want to provide more information about, especially for our communities. So the next thing I want to talk about is debt and its effects. So that is something that, as a Black person, that I really wish that I would have known more about. I know for me, and in my community, in my environment, it was normal for me to see people making payments on things, going in to purchase something and sitting down to talk with somebody about how much the payments would be. That was something that I saw as regular, and that I almost thought, there was no other way. But debt and its effects, are something that really holds us back as a community at times. It takes our financial resources. It puts us just in bad financial spots. It ruins credit. And that's something that I know that I have. As y'all know, I was on a debt-free journey for 22 months. I paid off close to $43,000. And that was something that was a big ball and changes in my life. And I think about, what I had learned about that, what I had seen about that. It's okay to go put that on payments. It's okay, to have multiple payments, going at one time. And it's not. That stole from my financial future. That, stopped me from doing things that I really wanted to do. And I think it's important in our communities to be told a different story. Yes, you as a Black person, as a Black woman, as a Black man, can be debt free. You can be different than from what everyone else is doing. And guess what? If you think that no, you can't, because that message has been ingrained with us. Hey, you're looking at somebody right here in the flesh who is 100% debt free. I owe nothing to nobody. So that's a message I think that is so important to be told to our people. As y'all know, I work at a university. And one thing that I have really noticed over the years, especially between our minority students and our non-minority students, is the information surrounding student loan debt. So I was a first generation college student myself, and college in general was just a difficult process at times. And there were so many things that I didn't know. especially about student loan debt. We have to talk about student loan debt and its detrimental effects in our communities. I actually just read an article that talked about Black women being some of the highest holders of student loan debt, right? And that was something that really stuck with me, because this is the type of debt that will stop you from really being your best self. And it's something that has to be talked about in our communities. Sometimes I think we are just told, go to college and that's it. There's not a plan that's put in place. We haven't talked about the finances for it. And I do understand, that parents, listen, they're not going to all be able to cover their kids' college, right? That is perfectly fine. However, a conversation has to be had on, hey son, hey daughter, I'm not going to be able to cover this, but let's talk about a plan to make sure that you get through this debt free. I'm not talking about with the least amount of student loan that you can take out. No, ma'am. $0, okay? Because that is very important for our community to know. Once you graduate college, you have to start paying that stuff back in 6 months' time. And that's just for, those public student loans. I'm not going to even talk about the private student loans with much higher interest rates, right? So this is a message that we really have to get in our community. Hey, how are you going to go to college debt free? Does that mean you have to work throughout the whole process? Guess what? That's okay. Does that mean that you have to start at the community college level? Guess what? That's okay. These are all options that are really there to make sure that we can get through college debt free. And I feel like, somebody needs to hear that. You can go to college debt free. You can do it. Another message that I've noticed that often comes to our communities late is retirement. We don't start talking about retirement until it's time to retire, or we're forced to retire for whatever reason. So that is something that we really want to just start focusing more on. What is a 401k? What is a Roth IRA? What are these things? I'll be honest, y'all, I didn't know what a Roth was until I started following the Dave Ramsey program, and I know I ain't the only one. And that's because this information was not as, circulated through my community. So I think it's so important for us to start talking about retirement. As soon as you get your first job, you need to learn about retirement. I got my first job at 16. And I didn't really start understanding retirement principles until, I went through my debt-free journey. So it's important that we link up with the stakeholders in that field and we start to disseminate that information among our communities. So the last thing that I wish that I would have known as a Black person about finances was credit, right? So I feel like we all know the basics. Don't have bad credit. Pay bills on time so you won't get bad credit, and you need credit, right? Those are the 3 things that we are told. However, when I went through my debt-free journey by following the Dave Ramsey principles, there were some things that really stuck out to me that I was like, I feel like this needs to be told to our community. The main thing was that, guess what? You get credit by going into debt, which sometimes puts us in very compromising financial positions, right? And that's something that we're told. Oh yeah, you need to make a payment on that so it can boost your credit score. But if you have all this credit, but you ain't got no money, it's not really giving what it needs to, right? And I think it's important for our community to be flexible in our thinking about credit and really looking at alternative options to fund our financial future versus on other people's money. I know that's a big thing that's really being preached down from Instagram and all the TikTokers and things like that. But it is so important for us to know what happens when you choose to go into debt, and especially when you default on that debt because you have so much of it. So as somebody who, went through the 7 baby steps, I really would like for our community to know things like you can't get a house without credit. You can go purchase a cell phone without needing credit. You just buy it in cash, You can continue to fund your financial future without other people's money. I feel like that is such a message that I want our community to have. So if you want to know more about my financial journey and what I'm doing, be sure to check out this playlist here. Bye.